Hey guys, this is Frozen Things Stews here, and welcome back to another video. And today we are going to be reflecting on the movies that came out in summer 2023. Yeah, I know it might seem like it's too early to make this kind of video because initially, most of the kids are still on their summer break, and school doesn't resume until September. So technically, August is still a summer movie season. But to me personally, my summer break is it's kind of different in my country. My summer break normally takes place, from the end of May until August. So it's like June, July. Yeah, I know most other countries their summer break is on July and August, ideally. But yeah, to me it's kind of like a month ahead. So yeah, I think now is a perfect time for me to be able to talk about how I felt about this year's summer and especially its movie. Quick thoughts on this year's summer based on my personal experience. Yeah, this feels like the comeback of normal summer, like that isn't ruined by the pandemic. Yeah, for the last 3 years, well, from 2020, 2022, yeah, pretty much last 3 years. Yeah, it felt very lackluster. Last year was actually pretty decent summer. Actually, I will say that last year was decent. 2021 was also decent for the most part, but I mean, it didn't feel like an actual summer because I barely did much. I didn't go on vacations, like I couldn't do the pandemic, so it feels kind of sad. But on their own, based on the things I did, I mean, I can name a lot of memorable things I did. Unlike summer 2020, which was just I did absolutely nothing, just stayed home and just did nothing. Yeah, it just felt sad. Yeah, and 2020 felt like the longest summer ever. Like it was taking forever. Yeah, at least this year I was able to go on vacation. Even if sadly it was not in the US, like I was hoping it was just there in Southeast Asia. At least I still had a great summer. When it comes to the movies, honestly, I'm gonna confidently say that this year might have been my favorite summer year ever. I mean, like wow, yeah, I barely saw any bad movies this summer, and the best movies of the summer are pretty much just peak level, or just absolutely peak, and I absolutely like. I would probably rank them as one of the greatest summer movies ever made. So yeah, I'm here today to do a ranking of all 14 movies I saw this summer. That I review, that I've watched this summer. There's like some other summer movies I haven't really seen yet. These are the ones I saw. So yeah, without further ado, if you want to know my ranking of all the summer movies 2023 I saw from worst to best, then just keep watching. At number 14, the worst summer movie of the year, no question, The Little Mermaid remake. Oh, I still don't get why people like this movie so much. This is the most overrated Disney movie I have ever seen in my life. Yeah, like I this movie is abysmal and I just cringe. I mean, Halle Bailey, Halle Bailey as Ariel, I don't get the love. This movie is ugly looking. The prince look, it's pretty much me and myself Aladdin all over again. There's nothing redeeming about this movie. Maybe besides that scene where besides that scene where Ariel pretty much just shuts Scott and Sebastian off from seeing that horrible Scandalous song. Yeah, and this movie is too long and it's boring and nothing happens in the end. This is one of the worst Disney movies. Like, this is my top 10 worst Disney movies. And both this and Peter Pan and Wendy, both live action remakes coming out in 2023, they're my two least favorite live action remakes. Oh my goodness. Like, what is going on with this year? Yeah, what is going on with Disney releasing two of the worst live action remakes this on the same year? My god, can Wish just come out already? At number 13, now Ruby Gilman Teenage Kraken. Now, I'm gonna say this right now. The Little Mermaid is the only bad movie I saw this summer. Yes, there were like some other summer movies that I speculate are gonna suck. Like No Hard Feelings or Insidious, whatever 5. But I haven't really seen them yet, so I can't really like add them to the list. I'm only including the ones that I've actually fully seen. And between Little Mermaid and Ruby Gilman, there's a huge gap between both movies. Now, yeah, now I would say this, yes, even though Ruby Gilman is one of the weakest movies that I've seen this summer, I like this movie. I actually liked it. Although I'm actually glad I didn't see it as a theaters, because based on what I saw when this movie came on digital, it wasn't really cinema worthy. And yes, I know this movie is getting so much hate, even animation, even diehard animation fans who just love to see anything just because it's animated, they all just really dislike this movie. I think this movie is vastly overhated and one of the most overhated DreamWorks movies. Is it a great movie? No. I think there are some things that could have been better. Yeah, I will admit, I would agree with most people that the writing is weak. Yeah, the writing is not very good. I think that it is. Now, I wouldn't say it's generic. Like, I don't mind it being a ripoff. I think it's. I can, I don't mind this movie just not being a ripoff of, Turning Red and Luca. And honestly, I prefer this movie over Luca. Nowadays, guys, I actually think Luca's overrated. Sorry, but yeah, that's just my opinion. I think Luca's just not very good in my opinion. It's just an average. It's just average. But yeah, Luca's the writing is weak. Some of the character designs are horrible. Like especially Connor, Ruby Gilman's a boyfriend. Seriously, I mean, I don't know how Ruby Gilman would have a crush on him out of all boys who are literally just better designed than him. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, but this movie is a lot of fun. This movie is enjoyable. I think I enjoyed it. Like maybe in the first half, it can get a little bit boring. A little bit boring, and I mean Chelsea like barely got any screen time in the first half. It's just like she just mostly comes in at the second half of the movie. But yeah, this movie is fun. The animation is great for the most part. Also, by the way, I saw a critic who said that the animation in this movie sucks just because it's not the Spider-Verse animation style. I mean, to be honest, I'm starting to get annoyed with the 3D animation hate. I mean, come on, guys. It's a lot harder to work with 3D and realistic looking animation than the than the 2D and 3D mixed animation like that. Yeah, I mean, it takes a lot more work and dedication for this, but yeah, anyway, back to what I was saying. Yeah, the animation, well, despite some bad character designs, it's great. I mean, the ocean is gorgeous. But I think the reason as to why I enjoy this movie is because of Ruby Gilman and Chelsea. I mean, they both literally steal the show. Ruby Gilman has a much better protagonist than I expected. I think I just really enjoyed seeing her character. But the standout of the movie is actually Chelsea. Yep, I love Chelsea. Honestly, she might arguably be my favorite DreamWorks villain and one of my DreamWorks crushes. Honestly, I was like Gonna Roxa, but but yeah, Chelsea is just like every single scene that Chelsea is in. I love it. Now I do wish that they established Chelsea as a villain already early on in the film, or at least don't and not making a twist villain. But I mean, that's just a nitpick, and I wish they I mean that's just a nitpick, but I mean Chelsea. Chelsea. I mean everything about Chelsea. I mean it's just really good, like almost flawless. Like her dialogue, I'm another flippin' mermaid. Yeah, I can't get that of him. And also my favorite scene in the film is basically when Captain Gordon Lighthouse kidnaps Chelsea and I'm just like, please, I'm begging you, I'm not evil, I'm misunderstood. But I actually relate to that honestly. Sometimes I feel misunderstood. People that see me as an evil guy, but I'm just misunderstood. I relate to that. And then also we see Captain Gordon, like live streaming and then live streaming with Chelsea and then Chelsea like, OMG, are you live streaming? Yeah, that's it. I haven't reviewed this movie yet, but I will get to review this movie at some point. I think I need to rewatch this movie in order for me to review. So yeah, I won't be able to review this anytime soon, but we'll see when. At number at number 12, Transformers: Rise of the Beast. Yeah. Transformers: Rise of the Beast, I kind of expected better from this movie. Because I thought this movie was gonna be a little bit better. At the same time, it kind of met my expectations, but yeah. So yeah, with Transformers: Rise of the Beast, yeah. Now you probably know that I'm not really a Transformers fan myself. I mean, I like Transformers, but it's just not really something that I have nostalgia over. I mean, I've seen every single Michael Bay Transformers movie, and yeah, I don't like any of them. And I'm sure you remember me have putting Transform the first movie in my top 10 movies I hated. Everyone else likes this, so yeah. None of the Michael Bay Transformers movies are good. Well, I would say Dark Knight of the Moon is passable, I guess, but it's still not very good. But I think the only reason I would probably like get for these Transformers movies is that they're just blockbusters and they're just fun movies, I guess. Yeah. And yeah, Bumblebee was phenomenal. Bumblebee was a masterpiece, and I think it is in my top 20 favorite movies of all time, and one of my absolute favorite movies of 2018. I mean, to me, Bumblebee is the definitive Transformers movie, and Haley Steinfeld, Charlie Watson. I mean, there's no doubt about it. One of the best Transformers character, and honestly, Haley Steinfeld is actually the reason as to why I love Bumblebee. The main reason, and this movie actually, and Bumblebee was actually the movie that got me to having a crush on Haley Steinfeld. So yeah. Now when it comes to Transformers: Rise of the Beast, it's alright. I think this movie is fun for the most part. It's just a fun, nice little addition to the Transformers franchise. The action scenes are really cool. I mean, this movie has some of the best action scenes in the franchise, especially that final battle. I love seeing that Maximus, the CGI, the Autobots is top notch, and they gave Optimus Prime more character development. Yeah, Optimus was probably the standout of the Autobots to me. Um, I love the casting choices of the Maximals. I mean, you got Ron Perlman, Peter Dinklage, Michelle Yeoh. I mean, great characters. And Scourge is a terrifying villain, one of the better Transformers villains. And Anthony Ramos is known as my favorite character in the whole film. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Anthony Ramos. I think he's my favorite male Latino actor. I still think Elvis Rivera. I still think Jenna Ortega is the best Latino actor like cast, but Anthony Ramos would be right up there. And out of the males, yeah, he's my favorite. Love this guy. And my second favorite Transformer is Human Lead, behind, well, obviously Charlie Watson. But I feel like this movie is nothing special. The story is formulaic. It's basically like the same as some of the Transformers movies. Specifically, 1, 3, and 5, where it's pretty much about the Transformers finding this MacGuffin to be able to recreate Cybertron. Yeah, it's just the same story all over again. It's just the same story all over again. But yeah. Could have been better. I wish the story was a bit less formulaic, and yeah, it is nothing special, but it's like what it is. At number 11, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Yeah, Dial of Destiny. Now, I may have gave us an 8 out of 10 in my review, but I'm already kind of considering like lowering my rating to a 7 out of 10 on rewatch. Well, I'll have to see for myself. But yeah, from what I've seen, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny is a great movie. And probably the most, well, technically second most underrated Indiana Jones movie, right behind Temple of Doom. While it doesn't really live up to the original trilogy, it is leaps and bounds better than that horrible Kingdom, the Crystal Hell. Yeah, Indiana Jones and Dial of Destiny. Now, what I love most about this movie is that it actually does feel like an actual classic. It doesn't try to go way too modern. It doesn't try to go so modernized, and just based on the production design and set design alone, it actually does feel like a classic movie. And yes, this is one of my favorite production designs of the year so far, alongside Barbie, which I'll definitely get to on this list higher up. But yeah, this movie does feel like an actual classic. It doesn't go too modern. I bought into the director James Mango. This guy can do no wrong. Even his weakest film, Night and Day, I still found out to be a guilty pleasure. And and yeah, Harrison Ford still is still as great of an Indiana Jones as expected, even when he's old. Well, I don't love Phoebe Waller-Bridge's character, but she's harmless, and I think that Heifer is a bit too far. Like people just say that. I don't think Phoebe Waller-Bridge is the reason to ruin the franchise. I think if you want to hate on the franchise and hate on this movie and say that this franchise has been ruined, that blame Kathleen Kennedy, not Phoebe Waller-Bridge. And the action scenes are still really good for the most part. I mean, this movie has such fun action. Um, and the story is decent. The story is fine, I guess. It's nothing too special. The plot, but it's good. Now, yes, this movie is too long, and the final battle is anticlimactic. The time travel stuff doesn't really work for me. Like the fact that they went into the Roman times and the Archimedes times felt out of place to an Indiana Jones movie. But like it started to get really ridiculous in the third act and stuff. I mean, not in a dumb fun way, just um, and it's quite anticlimactic as well. Like I still can't get over the fact that there's no final battle. For some reason, yeah. But even with that stuff, yeah, this movie is still really good. At number 10, Haunted Mansion. Yeah, but didn't mention. Yeah. What else can I say about Haunted Mansion? Yeah, this is one of the this is one of the most underrated movies of the summer. This movie is really fun. And I feel like people just kind of underestimate this movie like too much just because it's a Disney remake, even though it's technically a remake of a film that just sucks. So that this is pretty much how Disney remakes should be. And yes, this movie was I actually did review this movie recently. This was the last movie I saw in theaters. And this was my previous video just right before this video. So if you haven't seen my Haunted Mansion review, yeah, go check it out. But yeah, I'll just say this movie is fun. It has the fun characters. Like love the cast ensemble. The ghosts are great, and it's actually a legitimately scary Disney movie, which we don't get in a while. Although it's too long, and the humor is just meh. And yeah, but other than that, yeah, this is a fun movie. Yeah. At number 9, The Flash. One of the more underrated movies of the summer. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, The Flash is the most divisive movie of the year so far. I mean, yeah, let's just say that because this movie has pretty much two sides, and let's just say these two sides they all have strong feelings towards this movie. Like you got the side who would say that this is one of the best superhero movies in recent memory and probably like in general. And then you got those who say that this movie is garbage and this is and it's one of the worst superhero movies they've ever seen. You've ever seen. To me personally, I'm actually on the positive side with The Flash. I think this is a great movie. Like it's such a great underrated movie. And as someone who wanted to hate this movie because of Ezra Miller, this movie helped me realize that you don't need to like judge a movie based on an actor's personal life. So although I am not excited for Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, I'm not gonna like judge it just because of Amber Heard being in it. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, yeah, sure, I would agree with most people. The CGI is not good. Now, I think people just take it way to the extreme of CGI. I hear some people say that this has the ugliest CGI ever put in the film. I mean, even though you had Justice League 2017, this movie is great CGI. But other than that, it's fun. It has such fun action scenes. I mean, the beginning scene is like one of my favorite opening scenes in a DCU, especially with the scene where Wonder Woman like pretty much just especially that Wonder Woman scene. Yeah, love that. Love that. Even though she doesn't do anything too significant, unlike Shazam Fury of the Gods. Her appearance there. And her appearance there and yeah, and the story is really good. Even though it's nothing new to the genre. I mean, the genre. I mean, it's a very similar story to Avengers Endgame, where they must the main character must go back in time to prevent something that happened like years ago, and they just want to bring things back. But yeah, bring things back, and yeah, and this one I think I like how complex it is. Like it doesn't go full unpredictable and stuff. And yeah, and like great action scenes. And and of course you got Michael Keaton's Batman and especially Sasha Calle Supergirl stealing this entire movie. Like Michael Keaton shows that he's still got it as Batman and Sasha Calle Supergirl. One of the one of my favorite casting choices for a superhero role. Period. And yeah, and yeah, I pray that we get Sasha Calle Supergirl in DCU. I mean, in James Gunn's DCU. I mean, if James Gunn can bring back one Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman, why can't why can't Sasha Calle also be brought to James Gunn's universe? At number 8, Extraction 2. Extraction 2. I mean, yeah, this movie is better than the first movie in every single way possible. Like, I knew from the trailers, I knew this was gonna be better than the first one, and I think it pretty much met my expectations. This movie is an absolute blast from start to finish. I mean, this movie has some of the best action I've seen, like right up there with Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning and John Wick Chapter 4. Like action wise, the story is much better than the first one. Although it does feel formulaic, I think it's also well executed. I love how bigger this is. Like this is one of the bigger Netflix movies I've ever seen. One of the more ambitious Netflix movie. This movie is just pure non-stop action from start to finish. Like and let's not forget about that insane like 20 minutes action scene, like the one shot take that lasted for 20 minutes. I mean, wow. And Chris Hemsworth is still great. So like, although yes, there's one character who I absolutely hated, who kind of like ruined this movie's potential for to being a 5 out of 5. And yeah, that character, oh my goodness, one of the most annoying and idiotic characters of the year. I don't even remember that kid's name, but it's a kid. That's all I'll say. But yeah, this movie is just really good. Also the villain, I kind of forgot who the villain was, so I'll consider that negative as well. But yeah, but yeah, it's great. And they did set up Extraction 3 at, at, at the end, so I can't wait to see where this goes. So yeah, at number 7, Fast X, or Fast 10, but I'm more comfortable calling this movie Fast X. Movie Fast X. So yeah, this is probably the most, to me personally, Fast X is honestly the most underrated movie of the summer. Summer movie season. I will never understand the hate for this movie. I mean, how come people are okay with the Meg being, dumb, fun, and absurd, but yet they criticize Fast and Furious for being absurd? I mean, the Meg is, it may be absurd, but it doesn't feel dumb fun, like at all. Like Fast and Furious movies, I mean, I love street racing, just car action, just straight up all out action scenes. All out action, and y'all know that action is my favorite genre. So of course I'll enjoy anything that's action. I'm actually like very generous towards the action genre. If you've noticed that, even some of the more hated, action movies, I still would give them a positive review. Like how I gave Ghost a positive review. I think Ghost is my guilty pleasure of the entire year. It's my biggest guilty pleasure of the year. Yeah, and Fast X. Yeah, this is definitely one of my guilty pleasures. In fact, I feel like it's more than a guilty pleasure. I feel like it's kind of just a straight up good movie. And this is to me this is still my favorite Fast and Furious movie to this day. This is the biggest Fast and Furious movie, so this pretty much has, this is some of the biggest action scenes in the franchise, and definitely the best action, especially like with all these insane stunts. Dom Toretto just being Dom Toretto in this one. And I mean, and I actually still care about the characters. I think the characters are even though the characters are mostly separated, separated. Yeah. Separated. Yeah. I'm sure you know where I'm going with this. If the Flash is similar to Endgame, this one's very similar to Avengers Infinity War, where all the characters are pretty much separated in different areas, and they must like they have their own storylines, and like involving like trying to take down a villain in the center. Dante, played by Jason Momoa. Dante is the best Fast and Furious movie, and Jason Momoa is the best role. Period. And yeah. And I also love all the new characters besides him. I mean, Alan Richards' character, Ames, Brie Larson's test, which by the way, Brie Larson is better in this movie than Captain Marvel, and I stand by that. Although Scott Pilgrim is still her best performance, and of course, and my favorite of the new characters, my favorite new characters, what's her Reyes, played by played by the Suicide Squad actress, Ratcatcher, played by Ratcatcher too. Yeah, she played like Isabel Reyes in this one, and yeah, she's one of my Fast and Furious crushes. Yeah, and um, and of course, yeah, the best thing about the movie, the ending scene where Gal Gadot is revealed to still be alive. But like, I'm happy to see Gal Gadot, Giselle back. Now, I people say complain that Giselle came back when she's dead, but honestly, I don't think she really died. And if you watch Fast and Furious 6, I don't think she actually died when she jumped out of the car. So yeah, I'm happy she's back. So yeah, Fast X underrated. Yeah, let's see if Fast X Part 2 and Part 3 can top it. So yeah. So yeah, now we're getting into the masterpiece movies. Yeah, these next six movies, they're all masterpieces, and like I give it a 10 out of 10. At number six, Barbie. Barbie is a masterpiece. I like, you know, I don't know what else to say. I mean, I pretty much said most things in my review, but yeah, I don't know what else is there to add. Yeah, but Barbie is kind of a bad idea. Barbie was initially like a bad idea to make because it's a movie based on a girl story, so it wouldn't really like spark my interest. However, I think that what makes Barbie just so good is that it's just a film on its own that makes it Barbie just really good. You don't have to like view this as a movie based on Barbie. Like it's better to do this view Barbie as a movie instead of just viewing it as a movie based on a toy. And yeah, Barbie is one of the more divisive movies of the year. Not as divisive as The Flash, but basically, either people loving this or there's people who just say this movie is overrated. Yeah. Yes. It's not the best Greta Gerwig movie. That would still go to Little Women, but yeah, Barbie is better than Lady Bird. I will say that. Than Little Bird, the Lady Bird. I will say that. Yeah, Barbie is it's just a lot of fun. It's very self-aware. Like I love the comedic timing. The comedy is great. Like the casting is insane. Margot Robbie, Ryan Gosling, which Ken is now my favorite character in the movie. Like, and Just Ken is my favorite song of the year. That's actually why I sang the Just Ken song because I just can't get the song out of me. Song out of me. Margot Robbie is also great. Yeah. Margot Robbie is also great, and I also love Gloria, Sasha, and Alan, and Shang-Chi Ken, all like great. And the movie is also emotional as well. Like there are times where I teared up. Yeah. So this movie can get funny, serious. It's deep. It gives like so much feels, and yeah, it's just really good. So yeah. Yeah, I can't wait to see what more does Mattel have to offer. What more? And I'm hyped for that. Ken's gonna could Ken top Barbie? I think it has potential, but we'll see. Let's see. So yeah, this is the highest grossing movie of the summer, and I think it deserves to be. At number five, Nemona. Yeah, Nemona. The movie that people consider to be the surprise hit of the year, but to me personally, I knew that Nemona was gonna be really good. Ever since that they announced that Netflix is reviving this movie from the death of after the death of Blue Sky, I'm very happy that Netflix did it. Netflix is a top tier. It's one of my favorite animated studios, like Netflix Animation. They made some of the best animated movies in recent years. Like I still think Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio is the best Netflix animated movie, but I honestly prefer Nimona over Mitchell vs. the Machines. Yeah, it's that good. I don't know what else is there to say. Yeah, I mean, the animation is gorgeous. Probably the best animation in probably the best animation in any best animation Netflix has ever done. The story is very mature. Yes, this is a very deep and mature movie. Yes, at first it may seem like your typical, kids animated movie, it gets, but it's not really a problem to me because it was just like all fun. It gets deeper and deeper and deeper as the story progresses, and I also love the characters. I mean, Bannister, and of course, the entire characters of Nimona being the best character. In fact, the more I think about it on reflection, Nimona might be Chloe Grace Moretz's best role she's ever done, and yeah, and I actually love this character, and yeah, isn't she adorable and just so much fun? You can clearly see Chloe Grace Moretz's energy when playing this role, and this movie is just packed with action and just it's just packed with action, yeah. And I also love how this you know the, this it actually ended up being canon to Blue Skies movies because this isn't really like where like Netflix pretty much just starting everything from scratch again. No, they literally continued what Blue Sky was making, and so like in the beginning it was technically made by Blue Sky, and then the second half was made by Netflix. So yeah, and yes, considering that this is canon to Blue Sky, this is the best Blue Sky movie by a huge landslide. Yeah, it's really sad that I wish they released this movie first before shutting down Blue Sky. If they were to shut down Blue Sky, they should have just released this movie first, and then like, okay, we're done. It's our last movie. Yeah, well, why did they need to shut the Blue Sky down before this movie came out? And also, this movie was supposed to come out on my birthday, January 14th, 2022. Would have been a perfect birthday movie. Yeah. At number four, Oppenheimer. Yeah, I know some people would put this like as their favorite sub movie of the summer, or at least top two. But to me personally, I think Oppenheimer fits best at number four. Like, cause there are just three movies that I enjoy more. But I will say this: Oppenheimer is the best made movie of the summer. Like, kind of objectively speaking, yeah. I still love Oppenheimer, and I'm actually glad that Oppenheimer is getting all the love it deserves, yeah, all the praise that it deserves, and yeah, this is considered to be one of the absolute best Christopher Nolan movie, and yeah, they're right. This is one of the best Christopher Nolan movie, like an S tier Christopher Nolan movie. It is that good, and this is without question the greatest biopic ever made. Period. Ever made. Period. Yeah, this movie is just so good, man. It is just beyond epic. I love how Christopher Nolan is able to make this ambitious and I love how Christopher Nolan just makes this movie ambitious and yeah, just everything. Yeah, I love how Christopher Nolan is able to make this movie just so ambitious and big, and yeah, and I feel like Christopher Nolan is the right movie to do this. Movie to do this. Movie to do this. I mean, the right director to do this movie, like a movie about the atomic bomb. Yeah, I know that Christopher Nolan has made a World War II movie before, so I wish that he came up with a more new idea. But yeah, I mean, Robert Pattinson was the reason this movie exists, so you can take it for that. Um, but yeah, I mean, the cast is insane. Cillian Murphy, Emily Blunt, Matt Damon, Robert Downey Jr. Both Robert Downey Jr. and Emily Blunt both steal the show, especially Florence Pugh. I mean, she's like the R-rated, the person who just makes the movie, the character who makes the movie R-rated. And Gene Hackman is my favorite Christopher Nolan character. And yeah, this is probably like this is just incredible writing, yeah, all around. And yes, so I'm planning to see this movie again soon. Hopefully this weekend, maybe tomorrow, like Sunday, we'll see about that. But yeah, well, we'll see about that. Well, hopefully I get to do it. So yeah, but yeah, Oppenheimer. Yeah, I'm gonna see it again. Hopefully, maybe it can rank higher up in my Christopher Nolan's ranking list. And yes, when as you notice, I have yet to do a ranking of all Christopher Nolan movies from weakest to best. Well, when I have my second viewing of Oppenheimer, that is when I will do my Christopher Nolan movie ranking. So yeah, at number three, Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part One. Yeah, this is my personal favorite movie this July. This is my personal favorite movie of July, in my opinion. And yeah, I know like there are some people who say that oh this movie is just alright. I guess like this movie like doesn't live up to like Fallout and or goes Bravo and they all just have flaws with it. But to me personally, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part One is still the best Mission Impossible movie, and I am not gonna take it back. Even rewatching Fallout and seeing that, oh, maybe I over. Yeah, honestly, I didn't even get to rewatch Fallout before Dead Reckoning, so I feel like maybe if I rewatched Fallout before Dead Reckoning, I would see this as the best Mission Impossible movie. Well, no, Dead Reckoning is still my favorite Mission Impossible movie. It's still my favorite Mission Impossible movie, and yeah, this movie is epic in every single way possible, and this feels like a dream come true for Mission Impossible fans. I mean, this has some of the best action in the franchise. In fact, this movie is non-stop action. Like this is pretty much the most action-packed in the franchise, and every action scene is just a banger. From the airport. From the airport chase to the car chase, the the really long car chase scene to the Venice scene. Which by the way, the scene with Tom with Ethan in the alley and facing off against Palm Simon Thief is my favorite action scene in the entire film. In the entire film. And of course, well, the train scene at the end with that insane motorcycle jump. And yeah, I wouldn't say this has the best story in the franchise, but it's just a really good story. And I think this movie feels like an actual part one. They do a really good job of making this movie part one while still feeling like a complete story on its own. But it's just like they pretty much completed one half of the mission, and it does feel like a complete movie. But they still haven't really. They still have more to do. So yeah, they pretty much set up a part two to just finish the one big mission. But they like there's like just a small part of the mission that they just completed. So yeah. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 2 is most certainly one of my most anticipated movies of 2024. I cannot wait for that one right there. For that one right there. And yes. And also Ethan Hunt gives his best performance. And I mean I love their training characters. Elsa Faust, White Widow. White Widow, Simon Benji, but the new characters are really good. But yeah, Ellie Atwell Grace is my favorite Mission Impossible character in general. I just love her, and Haley Atwell, yeah, this role that Haley Atwell had made me love the actress even more than I initially did. And Haley Atwell honestly might be my second favorite 40s actress, like actresses in their 40s. Number one being Kristen Bell, obviously you probably saw it coming. But yeah, I mean, and also I would put Haley Atwell as an honorable mention to my best top 15 favorite actresses list. So yeah, I love this movie. Yeah. And yes, I can't wait for Dead Reckoning Part 2, or at least to rewatch this movie when it hits digital. At number two, Elemental. Yeah, I forgot to mention that Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part One is actually my favorite live action movie of the summer because these top two are actually animated. Yeah, and yes, I think you'll know by now that Elemental is my favorite Pixar movie. I love this movie to death. It is just beautiful in every single way possible. Yeah, this is Pixar at their peak level. No, it's not the best Pixar movie ever made. It's just my personal favorite. Like there's a difference between best and favorite. There are better made Pixar movies out there, but one thing that Pixar doesn't really have that this movie has is that Pixar doesn't really make movies that feel personal to me. I just watch these movies and fall in love with it and be like, oh, this is a well-made film, but it's not really a movie I decide to just rewatch, and thinking about it, it's not really a movie that feels very personal to me. It's just great because it's great. Elemental is very personal. It's a very personal. Elemental is a Pixar movie that feels very personal to me. It is just a beautiful love story between Wade and Ember, but it goes beyond that. That is a movie that talks about deep topics about immigrate that about immigrant and pretty much just racism and equality. Yeah, some people say it's just utopia, but with animals, but with elements. But I personally don't find this to be as much of a Zootopia ripoff as other people say. Is in fact hot take, but I actually prefer this movie over Zootopia. Zootopia is a better made film, but I just I think that this movie speaks to me more, and I think Ember is a better character protagonist than Judy Hopps. Slightly. Ember is the best Pixar character. Period. I just love how love how relatable she is, and she feels like my Pixar character. She's like the Pixar character I want to be with, and yeah, this movie has the most gorgeous animation from Pixar. It has the best score of the year with Thomas Newman just delivering a banger of a Pixar soundtrack. And Steal the Show is the best Pixar song. Wade and Amber are the best Pixar couple. Sorry, Wally and Eve. And yes, and this movie made me cry more than any other Pixar movie. Like the scene when Wade just expresses his love for Amber in like the Try Not to Cry challenge, and the Wade makes Amber cry for the very first time in her life. Yeah, wow. And especially that ending scene, my personal favorite scene, like the ending where when Amber just tells Wade, like tries to like revive Wade by telling sad stories to make him cry, and then it's like, I want to explore the world with you, Wade. I want to be with you for the rest of my life. Like such a powerful scene, and then we see Wade just crying, like with like his water dripping, and then reviving himself. And then we get this really hard kiss, like yeah, it put a smile on the face and tears, yeah. Yeah. And yeah, so yeah, Elemental is sure to be a top five best movies of the year by the end of the year. And yeah, and this is certainly my favorite Pixar movie ever made. And the fact that it beat out all the live action movies of the summer just says something. It is close to being number one, but there's just one other summer movie that I think is even better, and my number one favorite movie of the summer is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I mean, come on now, is that really a question? If Oppenheimer isn't really your favorite movie this summer, then mostly it's gonna be Spider-Verse, because yes, Spider-Verse is just everything I wanted to be and more. I mean, I feel like Spider-Verse has potential to be the best franchise ever, like the best trilogy ever made. Yeah, I think Spider-Verse is on pace to be the best trilogy ever when the other Spider-Verse comes out. Although let's see, Frozen can be the best trilogy with Frozen 3. But yeah, one thing's for sure, Spider-Verse with this in this Spider-Verse is already the best. It's already the best comic book franchise ever, even surpassing the Dark Knight trilogy. And yes, Across the Spider-Verse, I mean, I already said everything that needed to be said about this movie. It's just perfect at every single level. It's my second favorite movie of all time. Is my favorite superhero movie of all time. It is the best Spider-Man movie ever. It is the best Spider-Man movie. Yeah, the animation is even more gorgeous this time around. This movie is so ambitious, and I love that it's long runtime. Let's see, Beyond the Spider-Verse can be even longer than this. Even longer than this, yeah. And Gwen Stacy is the best character of the year so far. And yeah, this movie, I can go on and on about it, but I think you all know why this movie is amazing, yeah. And I certainly cannot wait for Beyond the Spider-Verse. Even though I understand why it won't come out next year, and I understand that very little progress has been made. So yeah, maybe it'll come out in 2025, which 2025 is gonna be the best year. I'm calling it right now. But yes, not much else to say. Beyond Across the Spider-Verse is the best movie of the summer, easily. So also for my ranking of the summer movies this year, I forgot to mention that the Across the Spider-Verse is the best summer movie in general. So yeah, so that's something. So for my list, what is your ranking of all some movies that you've seen? And do you agree with my list? Comment down below, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and stay tuned for a video regarding a major movie news. So yeah, bye guys.